Hi everyone, this is Smriti back again, TGT Science from SR International School, and the chapter that we are going to start up today is Respiration in Organisms. Well, I have seen many of the students getting confused between the two terms. One is respiration and the other is breathing. I've often seen children combining these two words and speaking respiration in place of breathing and breathing in place of respiration. Just to clarify that, breathing is a shorter term. It simply includes gaseous exchanges, like taking in of oxygen and releasing out carbon dioxide. That much will be considered as breathing. While when we talk of respiration, it's quite a longer term. Well, we all know that respiration, we all eat food, right? And the energy that we obtain is by eating that food. This energy needs to be broken down in the presence and with the help of oxygen. So when we take in oxygen, this oxygen goes inside the cells, helps in breaking down the food more in order to release energy. And that energy is utilized by our body. Along with that energy, even carbon dioxide is released as a byproduct, and that's when the whole process of respiration gets completed. So in this chapter, we'll be learning more and more about how respiration takes place in humans, how respiration takes place in different organisms, about aerobic respiration, about anaerobic respiration. So let's get started and let's move ahead. Let's study now about the pathway of air inside, how oxygen goes inside and gets utilized by our body. So let's go step by step. We take in oxygen. The oxygen we take in goes in through our nose, through the nasal cavity, through these nostrils. The air goes inside the nostrils and the hair and mucus present inside our nose. It helps in trapping the dust and do not allow the dust and dirt particles to go inside. Thus, the air which enters inside a nose through the nasal cavity is filtered. Now, from the nose, from the nasal cavity, the air passes inside and passes and comes up to pharynx and then the larynx present in the neck region. From here, it enters the windpipe, also called trachea. Please mind the pronunciations as well here. It's called trachea. From trachea, there emerges bronchi, right? Two bronchi, one left bronchi and one is the right bronchi. These two bronchi, now each bronchus, singular, each bronchus, it divides into smaller parts, smaller branches which are called bronchioles, and these bronchioles, they emerges inside the lungs. That means bronchi, they have smaller tubes in the lungs, and in the lungs, these bronchi, they divide itself into smaller tubes which are called bronchioles. And each bronchiole is surrounded by alveoli. Now what is alveoli? Alveoli is made up of thin membrane which is surrounded by blood vessels. Now when this oxygen goes into the alveoli, actual oxidation takes place, or you can say actual respiration takes place. When this oxygen reaches the alveoli, as I said, it's surrounded by blood vessels. As it's surrounded by blood vessels, it definitely consists of blood, and as it consists of blood, it consists of hemoglobin. Now when the oxygen, it combines with hemoglobin, it converts that hemoglobin into oxyhemoglobin. And now with the help of that oxyhemoglobin, that whole oxyhemoglobin is transported to each part of the body, providing all the parts of the body with oxygenated blood. That is oxyhemoglobin. So that's how oxygen enters our nose, enters our body and reaches to all the parts of our body. Now let's talk about the two types of respiration. One is aerobic respiration and the other is anaerobic respiration. We all have been talking about aerobic respiration as we learned that respiration includes oxygen. That means respiration takes place only with the presence of oxygen, and this oxygen is utilized for the breakdown of food in order to obtain energy. So such kind of respiration in which oxygen is required in the breakdown of food to obtain energy will be termed as aerobic respiration. Now when we talk of anaerobic respiration, anaerobic respiration is such kind of respiration in which oxygen cannot reach the parts, or you can say there is incomplete breakdown of food. Reason being, complete oxygen could not be obtained by the particular organism. Certain bacteria, fungi, even yeast, they all perform anaerobic respiration. Now when incomplete breakdown of food takes place, it leads to the it leads to giving out byproducts such as carbon dioxide and also ethyl alcohol. Talking about anaerobic respiration in humans, even in humans, anaerobic respiration takes place. As in how? Many times it happens that we are being habitual of performing different and various physical activities in our daily routine, but sometimes we perform somewhat extra. For example, if it's been long, we have not worked out, and suddenly after ages or after months, after days, we suddenly think of working out, and we perform various exercises. You must have noticed certain body parts in which you have laid more emphasis on. Certain body parts, they start aching, they start getting cramps. That's what happens when your body, that particular body part, does not get oxygen. Because our body is habitual of performing certain activities for which our body gets oxygen and utilizes that. But when we plan of doing something extra, something extra than our usual day-to-day activities, something extra than our usual routine, our body falls short of oxygen. And when our body falls short of oxygen, that particular body part leads to anaerobic respiration. In that case, lactic acid starts accumulating in those body parts, and thus anaerobic respiration takes place there. A very small topic now is how respiration takes place in plants. Well, in plants there are three ways for respiration. Number one, through leaves. You all have learnt about them. Leaves consist of stomata, which are responsible for the exchange of gases or gaseous exchanges. When we talk of the stem even consists of small holes which are called lenticles, and these lenticles are responsible for the exchange of gases. So exchange of gases takes place through the leaves with the help of stomata, through stem with the help of lenticles, and through roots with the help of root hair.
Share a fact about some animals like elephants, lions, cows, goats, lizards, frogs, snakes and birds. All these creatures have lungs in their chest cavities. Hence, they breathe in the same way as we humans do. However, we have certain other creatures that breathe differently from us. Let's now explore some of these. Take for example a cockroach. It has a small opening on the sides of its body. These openings are called spiracles. Then these insects have a network of air tubes called tracheae for gas exchange. Oxygen-rich air rushes through spiracles into the tracheal tubes and then diffuses into the body tissues. This way, it reaches every cell in the body. Similarly, the carbon dioxide from the cells goes into the tracheal tubes and moves out through spiracles. One interesting thing to note here is that these tubes and tracheae are found only in insects and not in any other group of animals. You all must have learnt about earthworms in your earlier classes. This will be our other example to know the respiration pattern. You already know that earthworms breathe through their skin. You must have noticed that the skin of an earthworm feels moist and slimy on touching. You know that gases can easily pass through them. We just now learned that frogs have lungs like us. However, they can also breathe through their skin, which is again moist and slippery. Isn't that interesting to know? You all know that a frog can live in water as well as on land and even underground. On land, a frog uses its lungs and breathes like other species. However, during hibernation, when it goes underground twice a year, then its moist skin takes over the function of its lungs like that of an earthworm. In case of a baby frog or tadpoles, there are special organs called gills like fish which helps in breathing. These gills help them to breathe in water by taking in the air dissolved in water, so it can manage its breathing in all the places. Most of you go for swimming. What is your experience there? Can you breathe underwater? No, right? Then how do you think fishes can breathe? You all have already learnt about fishes in your earlier classes. You all know that fishes have gills, and it is these gills that help fishes to use the oxygen dissolved in water. You know, gills are nothing but the projections of skin. The reason that gills help fishes to breathe is that gills are well supplied by blood vessels in the fishes. These blood vessels help in the exchange of gases. Sometimes you must have seen fishes like dolphins and whales come up to the water surface. That is to take some air. And they release fountain of water sometimes while moving up. That is nothing but the release of carbon dioxide. So now we got to know that not all organisms breathe in a similar fashion, and all have different ways and body parts to breathe in